Okay. If anybody can't hear me, please send me a text, but I know you guys got your stuff on mute. But I appreciate the opportunity tonight to talk to you guys about the topic of moving more or exercise. This in the pillars of American College of Lifestyle Medicine in general is so incredibly important. I think we're well aware of that and the importance of movement in our lives to be as healthy as possible. Just a brief introduction to who I am. My name is Mike Thomas. I am a health coach. I have a web address there, WLScoaching.net. I'm fortunate to be recently board certified with the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, and also as of a couple of months ago, completed the Health and Wellness Coaches Training course for the Mayo Clinic. I'm also a registered pharmacist. My email is on the screen as well as my phone number. If anybody who is watching this live or watching the recording would like to be in touch with me. I would like to say that my mission and purpose is twofold. First, I want to get information out about lifestyle medicine, the importance of lifestyle medicine, the pillars of lifestyle medicine, things like exercise, eating a whole food, plant-based diet, minimizing stress, getting plenty of sleep. And then also the other branch of my purpose is to help individuals that are interested in pursuing lifestyle medicine to help them to stop, prevent, or even potentially reverse disease states. Much of this presentation is presented to you by this amazing book called No Sweat that I recently read. I have taken slides from the book as well as a great deal of this information. Not all of it is from this book, but it is a phenomenal book about movement and why we don't move as often as we should, things that get in our way. And there's tons of things that are in this presentation that will help and potentially move you forward to that. This was written by Michelle Seeger, a PhD. It is an amazing book. Like I said, I would recommend it. So before we get started and kicking off into exercise, everybody recognizes Fred Flintstone and his buddy, Barney Rubble. We just had Fred Flintstone on the slide. But my question for you is this for real? And obviously he's a cartoon character and obviously he's not for real. But the caricature of Fred Flintstone, if you look at him and you know that he's in the caveman days, the prehistoric times, you recognize that he's probably overweight. He actually might be obese. And my question to you is, do you think that folks back in the day were overweight or obese? And I would submit to you that no, they were not. They were probably very thin and probably very fit if they were alive, obviously, because they needed to be moving all the time. Obviously, there's a part here that talks about a lot of the things that we have in our world with regards to foods that are not very healthy, whether those are animal products or a number of the other foods that are out there, but also movement. Back in the prehistoric times or the caveman times of Fred Flintstone, you had to be moving and you had to be moving all the time to get food. You also had to be moving all the time to prevent from becoming food. So the question is, do we really need to exercise? And the reality is that over the course of the last probably 2 million years as humans have evolved, and really in the last 200,000 years, there's been a lot of movement going on. But I would say in the last 100 years, especially in the last 50 years, the movement has really gone by the wayside. We live an extremely sedentary lifestyle. We sit in our cars and we drive to work. We sit in front of a computer all day at work. We go home at night and spend 3 to 4 hours in front of a television set, all the time being sedentary. So the way we've evolved for hundreds of millions of years and the way we've lived in the last 100 years, and especially the last 50 years, is very different. Our bodies were hardwired to move. Our bodies need to move to be healthy. And I think you can see that in things like the obesity level, which has gone up multiple fold in the last 60 years. So we need to be moving, but are we really moving? As I indicated with the sedentary lifestyle, as I indicated with some of the foods that bring us challenges, overall, we're not probably moving to the level that we really need to move. And in the book, No Sweat, Michelle Segar talks about a number of problems and challenges to why that is. And one of the things that she identifies is what she calls the wrong why. And that is typically long-term or abstract thinking. If you ask somebody that's at the gym or that's out on a run, hey, why are you working out? Why are you working to be more healthy? And they'll give you those reasons. I want to lose weight. I want to look better. I want to reverse heart disease. I don't want to get diabetes because my mom or my grandmother had it and it's in my genes and I'm going to get diabetes. These are the wrong whys, not because they're not important, because they're incredibly important to get us started. In fact, we are really good starters. Every year, a lot of us on January the 1st, we always set that goal. Okay, this is what I'm going to do this year, right? So we set that goal to say, okay, this year, this is the year I'm going to do it. So we start and then we lose willpower over the course of several months or life happens, but we're not sustainable. And sustainability is really the goal that we're looking for. So the why, the wrong why, is still incredibly important, but focusing on that is not what gets us to sustainability. And that's what she calls in here the cycle of failure, the vicious cycle of failure. Focusing on better numbers or something vague or abstract like better health, and that presents that working out is actually a chore for us, something that we should do. And then over the course of those 3 or 4 months, as the willpower goes down or the motivation goes down, we then stop and then we start again because we're searching for the next wrong why. The solution to that challenge is what she calls the right why. And she tunes into and has seen many on her own health coaching journey, many wins with her clients when she works to help and support her clients to focus on what she calls immediate wins. And immediate wins are, those are the things that you recognize today or soon thereafter of your workout that you experience because you work out. In other words, when I work out, when I move, I feel better. And focusing on the feel better helps with sustainability. Movement gives me more energy, and focusing on the fact that you actually replenish and refill your tank to give you more energy helps you to be more sustainable. My stress level goes down. When I work out, I sleep better. I'm able to focus better at work when I move more. So recognizing that movement is a gift, and it's a gift that I give to myself, and the benefits of that gift are things like feeling better, having more energy, and having less stress, is what can get you to sustainability as it relates to working out. And this gives you the successful cycle of motivation that she puts out as well. So the right why, the gift, focuses us wanting to do that and having success. And then even seeing those other goals like preventing and reversing diabetes, lowering the chances of getting obesity, losing weight, etc. You feel better now, and your focus on that is what can get you that sustainable success. Another problem is the word exercise, right? What does that word, when you think about exercise, what does that mean to you? If you look at the screen, you can see a 1 would be something that's exercise feels like it's a chore, it's a pain in the butt, something that I have to do. A 2 is like, well, sometimes I like it okay, sometimes I don't, I still feel like I have to do it. 3 is kind of the middle of the road, and then all the way on the right-hand side, you can see the lady that's very excited. She's excited to be working out. She's happy. She thinks of exercise as fun and as a gift. And I want you to be, as you're watching this video or as you're listening to it live, I want you to think about in your own mind, when I say the word exercise, where do you come along the line of that? Is it a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? Just think about that to yourself for just a moment. Most people think of exercise and the word exercise as, in fact, a chore, as a 1 or a 2, right? In fact, they think that I'm not exercising unless I'm doing a 30-minute workout at the gym. I've got to do that 4 to 5 days a week for it to really make an impact for me. I've got to get a good sweat going, or I'm really not exercising. All these things I've told myself, and I'm sure many of you have told yourselves as well. I've got to be doing weight resistance. I got to actually be pumping iron with dumbbells and barbells to actually be exercising, right? I've got to get my heart going. That's truly what exercise means to a lot of people. The solution to this problem is to reframe that word exercise. So really, we're going to reframe exercise two different ways here. The first way is to know that all movement counts. It used to be actually just 20 years ago, and I'm not sure what organization came up with this, but they said that if you didn't exercise for at least 10 minutes, it really didn't count towards progress of movement. And in reality, every bit of movement counts. You don't have to go to the gym. You don't have to be sweating. You don't have to be breathing hard for 30 minutes. You don't have to actually be lifting weights. You don't have to have some kind of a formal structured program. You just need to be moving, right? So recognizing that then gives us the impetus to say that I can do things and it'll still count just as long as I'm moving. One of the quotes that she has in her book, which I think is phenomenal, as you start thinking about movement and things that you like to do, is walking 25 minutes a day, 4 days a week for the rest of my life is much more healthy than the 3-mile run that I never do, because I don't like to do that. So looking for opportunities to move, the OTMs, she talks about it. So some of these are pretty straightforward. She calls one the long cut versus, of course, the shortcut when you're walking in the neighborhood or what have you. When you're on the phone, walking around and moving around the house or your neighborhood when you're on the telephone. During downtime, doing 10 to 20 squats during a commercial. It takes about 45 seconds to do 20 squats. Taking a couple's cruise, going for a walk with your partner or loved one. A boogie break, stretching or moving for 5 minutes to a song. Of course, I'm going to say the 70s music, of course, is preferred. Locking into walking daily with a friend. This is one that one of my former clients has been doing for probably 10 years. 5 days a week, she walks 3 miles with a friend, whether it's snowing or raining, just as long as it's not lightning. You can imagine what that does for accountability and support. There's a lot of things going on that are wonderful, healthy-wise for the body. A meeting while walking on the treadmill or otherwise. Gardening, again, we're moving. Taking your dog for a walk. Taking the stairs versus the elevator if it's a couple flights of stairs. Cleaning the house. Here's a good one. The very end I thought was really pretty powerful. Recognizing that half of a workout is better than no workout at all. And sometimes we get distracted. Sometimes we have challenges to get to our 30-minute workout. We can only get to a 15-minute workout. And sometimes I'll have a client say, well, it was going to only be 10 or 15 minutes, and therefore I chose not to do that, knowing that it's a missed opportunity. The other solution for the word exercise is, and I referred to this earlier, is to do what you love to do. Enjoyment leads to sustainability. And this is a common theme for many of my clients ongoing. I don't really like to do that, but I know I need to, Mike. I'm going to do it. Yeah, I promise I'll commit to doing it. Well, do you like running on the treadmill? Well, not really, but I know I'm supposed to do that. So I put on here, based on some of the stuff from the book, as well as my own ideas, just ideas. And these are my ideas and the PhD Michelle Seeger's ideas of things that you could do to move around, to have some fun with things that you can do to enjoy, right? So ideas for fun: rollerblading with AirPods to great music, water aerobics to music. You can kind of hear a theme from me. I love music. Zumba class or jazzercise class to music. Walking on the beach, swimming in the ocean, wrestling with your grandkids. Again, remember, all movement counts. Finding a partner to work out with, to walk with. This helps socially, physically, and mentally and emotionally at the same time. So finding those things that really are fun and enjoyable, knowing that there's all kinds of things that you can do to enjoy yourself as it relates to movement specifically. Here's another one: not prioritizing you, right? So this is a big one that many of us have. So this is really self-care 101. And it's a priority, but a lot of times we don't give ourselves permission to put ourselves first. because we have all these other things in our lives and in our worlds. And it's interesting because men and women do this differently. Men don't give themselves permission for self-care because it's not manly enough to say, well, I'm going to take care of myself. Women don't give themselves permission for self-care because women feel like it's selfish to take care of themselves, right? And a lot of times you'll have somebody that will have a workout program that they're very excited about. They've actually doing something that they're really interested in, that they like, that they enjoy. They've actually tapped into a lot of those immediate wins that we talked about earlier, but life happens. Things happen in our lives that get us distracted and get us off the target of taking care of ourselves. So the solution is really looking at the big picture. Of the solution to not prioritizing yourself is looking at the big picture, right? And on this slide, you can see what sustain us, we sustain. And this is again from Michelle Seeger, which is really, really cool. It provides on the right-hand side the self-care paradox, which is the gift of blank. In this case, of course, that lifestyle medicine activity is physical activity, becomes the essential fuel for what matters most. Okay, so what we do often on the bottom tier, we think I should be exercising, I should be working out, and that's the bottom tier there. And as I mentioned earlier, that's not where the focus should be. A lot of times we think about and talk about what matters most to us, which is the top tier. So I really want to be a patient parent, and I know if I work out, I'm a patient parent, or I want to be productive at work, or I want to be a loving spouse or a happy person. So we focus on that want, but that doesn't help us with sustainability. The thing that helps with sustainability is recognizing the fuel, as I mentioned earlier, of what benefits you get as immediate wins for that activity. So example, physical activity gives you more energy, gives you less stress, lifts your mood, and therefore you can focus on those important things that are important to you in your life, which is the top tier. So it's been shown and evidence-based so many times now in many studies that if you focus again on what the benefits are of that specific activity, in this case, it's physical activity, then the chances are that you're going to have that. And then you're going to have some extra benefits from that of what matters most to you in your life. You can substitute having a plant-based lifestyle in that bottom tier. You can substitute getting good, proper sleep in that tier. You can substitute doing stress reduction activities. Much of this stuff helps you as it relates to physical activity to blend for lifestyle medicine in general. So focusing on that middle tier is hugely important. Again, this brings a sustainable cycle of success for self-care. We focus on the right why, the focus, the energy, the lifted mood, the performance and essential roles. It's a gift that we do it, and then we get success in that process as well. From that standpoint, then, the last part of this presentation I wanted to share with you guys is Michelle Seeger puts out 6 strategies to generate a lifetime of fitness, right? So, and I'll just self-admit that some of these overlap with each other, but I still think that they're very powerful, and I wanted to share them with you guys on this presentation. The first strategy she talks about is using learning goals versus performance goals. So instead of saying, I want to lift this much weight, or I want to run this fast, think about what you're trying to do as a learning goal to consistently be physically active, and give yourself permission to do that, and realize that there's going to be setbacks, and you just learn from that and you continually grow. When you can do that, then you have the sustainability, because you realize that this is the long game that you're going to play, which is a lot of what we're talking about on the next strategy. Looking at the idea and the big picture of what's happening with the long game, knowing that this is about lifelong health and not losing 15 pounds and going because next summer you've got a reunion and you want to just work out between next summer and then everything goes to pot after that. It's looking at and having the mindset of what's happening overall, big picture, as it relates to the strategy of long-term health. Strategy number 3, I already mentioned, but I still want to emphasize that again. Recognizing that self-care is that fuel when you realize the lifted mood, more energy, and less stress. Just 3 things, and there's more things: better focus, sleeping better. All those things are benefits that you get today, and that's fuel that feeds you. So it becomes self-perpetual, which is extremely powerful as a strategy. Another one, you can take these or leave these, but she really likes to focus on one thing. So for her, it's, one behavior at a time. So it's not, I'm going to lift weights and I'm going to go running and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. It's you focus on one thing and you work on integrating that one specific behavior. And again, it could be something as simple as 3 days a week, taking a walk with your dog and your friend 3 days a week. It's really, the statistics show that it's really powerful to do and focus on one thing versus multiple things. When everything is a priority, then nothing is a priority and there's no progress. When I have a lot of my clients will come to me because they want to go plant-based and they also want to start working out. And I'll certainly coach them to what they want to do. But ultimately I ask them, hey, why don't we focus on one of those things for the next 4 to 6 weeks so you really feel like you're in a level of automaticity and build a habit versus, okay, I'm going to do this with plants and I'm going to do this with exercise. Both of those are incredibly important and they can both be done at the same time. But when they're new and they're new behaviors, it becomes that much more difficult. So I really emphasize to focus on one or the other, but not necessarily both. I'll still go the path that the client wants to go. Again, recognizing the importance, strategy number 5, that consistency is what we're looking for here, not adding quantity, especially in the beginning when our willpower is there, we're highly motivated, people want to just continually pour on. But what we're looking for is consistency. And negotiating with yourself, with your own self-awareness to recognize, hey, this is kind of what makes me tick, and this is what gets me motivated. And I know I'm going to have a setback in this process, and that's okay. I'm just looking for consistency over the long haul. And the last one, before we get to the very last slide here, is the big idea of going from plan A to from A to Z. It's your plan, which we already know is going to be a straight line, but then we realize that life happens. That there's going to be those valleys of despair, there's going to be those challenges, there's going to be those injuries, all of these things I'm thinking about and kind of chuckling because I myself and many of my clients have experienced those as they go through the process as it relates to movement or exercise. Yeah, this is what I had. I planned I was going to run a mini marathon, or I was going to do this, or I was going to do that, and then this happened. I had this issue with a child or a parent or an injury. Again, we're looking at the long-term gain here, recognizing that all those obstacles and all those setbacks are not only normal, but they're actually somewhat expected. And how you navigate through those is your learning for your life in the process. So I'd like to just open it up. I'm going to change this for just a minute here. Let's see here. I want to stop sharing my screen. Yeah. So I want to, hey, Helen, I want to open it up for everybody and just ask big picture, just knowing yourself and some successes that you might have had in the past as it relates to movement or exercise. What comes to mind is maybe a win that you'd like to share with the group that you found based on your own self-awareness. This is something that has worked for you. And then I'd like to just facilitate a little bit about some of the challenges and just reach out to the group for thoughts, ideas, and suggestions as well. So maybe what's a win that comes to mind that you were able to have some consistency with exercise at one point in your life?
I walk a lot, and I now have 2 dogs, so they make me walk because otherwise they're crazy because they're puppies. So we do walk a lot with them, and that motivates us to get their energy off as well, which is great.
Yeah. So have a partner in crime there. And I see you walk with a friend sometimes too, or is that all the time?
Yep, I do. Whenever she's in town, she's kind of travels a lot with her husband's work.
Yeah.
So
that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing. That's fantastic. What else comes to mind?
This is not true now. It needs to be again, but when I was at my fittest as an adult was when I was watching, like, this ages me, but Charlie's Angels, and I would be exercising nonstop the entire time, okay. Sit-ups, whatever. Okay. So to connect it with, definitely if you're watching TV, you should probably be moving at the same time because you're sitting and stuck and, anyway. Yeah.
So leveraging having a fun TV show, but still getting movement or exercise in, where most of, I would say probably 99% of us are literally just sitting there watching the TV. That's a great idea. Very good. Thanks, Bev. What else comes to mind as a win?
I make mine convenient. It works out real well to go early in the mornings. And I like to get up early anyway. And I found a long time ago that my mornings were just wasted time. I'd get up
Okay.
early, about 5 in the morning, and I'd hang out until my husband got up. And I decided that I could use that time. It would be convenient to go to the gym and walk. And I have kept that up for quite a while. And I either listen to music or walk with someone. And I don't have a specific walking buddy.
Mhm.
It just depends on who all happens to show up that day. But we've got a core group of people that kind of hang together, and it's pretty nice.
That's
So I
great.
walk. I walk for about an hour a day when I get there. If I don't, unless I have lack of sleep or something. But
Mhm.
that works for me.
So Susan, you mentioned at the beginning there that you really lock into the mornings for your movement. Is that okay? Tell us a little bit about how you do that. What's your process for, I mean, it sounds like within the first hour in some form or fashion, you're already on the run as far as movement and stuff. Is that right?
Oh yeah, I get up, I don't know, around 4 o'clock. I do some daily meditation and readings and things like that. And then I put my workout clothes on and get my water jug ready and just head out the door. I'll get there at 5:30 in the morning and stay till 6:30, quarter
Mhm.
till 7 and walk. And here lately I've discovered Spotify, and that's working real well as far as workout. I got a workout list and I got the little earbuds and all that stuff. It's really great. And thank you everyone for the helpful hints about Spotify. It's been wonderful. Thanks, Mike. That was a
Yeah.
good idea.
Oh yeah.
And so it's just that's kind of what I do until 6:30. Then my husband gets up, I make his coffee, he gets up, and then we have breakfast together. And that's our
Wonderful.
morning routine. And
Yeah.
I heard a saying a long time ago, make exercise as consistent as your morning coffee.
Hmm.
So, if you're going to have the morning coffee, have the exercise too. Just make it a part of your life. So
So
that's
you,
kind of how I.
that's great. You've had this routine for how long? This is a pretty solid routine you've got.
Well, let's see, about 3 or 4 years,
That's
maybe even
fantastic.
longer than that. But I've always walked a lot. I've always been a walker. I like to
Yeah,
do that
that's
exercise.
wonderful.
Excellent.
And when
Very
the
cool.
weather's fit, I take the dog out too in the afternoons. I'll do that in addition to the walking in the
Mhm.
mornings. If
Very cool.
if it's nice and cool. Been
Yeah.
doing that lately.
Well, I'm really so happy that you are enjoying Spotify. Susan and I, she's kind of self-admitted, is just started learning about it, and her and I were dialoguing back and forth. And some of you, I've told this story, but I'm going to say it anyway about Spotify. I went through a little bit of a challenging time with my former employer about 5 or 6 years ago, and my pay got reduced, and I was like, we're going to have to just look at our budgets. I was telling Grace Ann, and I said, we're going to see where we can cut, whether that's a different subscription to cable and blah, blah, blah. And at that time, Spotify was $9.99 a month. And I go, well, we are not touching Spotify, because it just brought me so much joy for all that music that I remember as a kid. And I just absolutely love music as well. So I'm glad that that's something that you're able to incorporate with your movement and such, Susan, at the same time. Good stuff. Anybody else wins wise would like to share with the group with something that's worked for them to have some consistency with movement?
Yeah, I got something.
Oh, what you got?
So
First of all,
I'm a
who
big,
are you and where are you at?
hello, I'm Helen Weinberg. Sorry I'm late. I am in Boston, Massachusetts right now.
Go Red Sox.
Go Braves.
Ah,
What? I know. Yeah, I'm hoping that they get the win tonight.
Yeah, I hope the Astros do as well. Go ahead.
Yeah, of course, of course. So a couple things for me. I recognize that I like consistency. So going to the gym at the same time and on the same days every single week really works for me. And then also prioritizing, like when I move to a new city, or like whenever I know that there's change coming up in my life, or I visit my parents' house for a couple weeks. Like anytime there's like a lot of change, like I said, I'm a planner. So just prioritizing when
Yeah.
I'm going to the gym, whenever I change or whenever something new happens to me. Like for example, when I moved to Boston, it was really important for me to get a gym. And now I go to my office and they have a gym there. However, I'm struggling because I really like group fitness classes.
Yeah.
And the group fitness classes in Boston are like wicked expensive.
Gotcha.
I use the word wicked now because I moved to Boston from Indiana. So they're like really expensive, right? And so now
Yeah.
I'm like in the struggle because now it's winter and like I'm afraid I'm just gonna like hibernate all winter.
Yeah.
But like really prioritizing my health and like looking at my budget and seeing how I could like rearrange some things and making sure that like going into winter I plan out my health and my fitness.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. Another thing is along with the consistency, I like to make fitness social as well. So like I joined a basketball league here that I play every single week. And so that's like working towards a goal, working towards a team, also the social aspect as well. So I play
Mhm.
basketball every single Wednesday, catch me on the courts, and it's super fun.
Yeah. There's accountability there because you're a team member. That's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Cool. Thank you for sharing. Appreciate that.
Thanks for
Anybody else?
asking.
Anybody else come to mind as far as a win that you'd like to share with the group for consistent
Well,
movement in your life?
it's the same kind of theme. My I am used to walking at work. I have a walking buddy. She's like 30 and I'm 66. But she I kind of like and need that motivation of somebody going, come on, we're gonna go walk. We walk at break and lunchtime. And I have two different, a former neighbor and a current neighbor that kind of alternate, like, on the weekends, I walk with at least one of them.
Mhm.
I've been able to stay, at like, oh, I'm almost there. In minimum of 5,000 steps a day. And sometimes, it might be 7 or 8. So that's been my win. I also have oh my gosh, it's winter almost. And
Yeah.
I don't like to be outside when it's too cold or icy or, too hot. I mean, like, I'm kind of a fair weather walker.
Sure.
And I'm about to retire. So I've been talking to Mike about this, that we have, I have to, I kind of have to have some plans in place so that I, force myself, maybe find other people that are retired that would like to walk a couple times a week or something.
Yeah.
I am going to babysit 2 days a week and running after a 14-month-old. I think will be plenty of exercise those days.
Yeah.
But so yeah, it really helps to have a buddy because I can talk myself out of exercising
Right.
like nobody's business. So
Yeah, that's awesome. It's so great. Again, buddy, accountability. I mean, it helps socially, emotionally, mentally, obviously physically, because you're moving your body. Accountability, you know that you're supposed to be there because you said you would, and therefore you do. There's just so many wins to that. So thank you, Claire, for sharing that. And I have a couple that I wanted to share that are just, again, these are just my wins, and this is just me and my personality, but I want to share it with the group because it's worked for me. And that is, number one, I don't set goals for myself for the rest of my life. I set like a 3-month goal. I'm going to run for the summer, and then at the end of the summer, I'll assess it. I think I've shared with a lot of you, and I made a video about working out with weights. Like, I do not like to work out with weights. It's not something I enjoy a great deal. I know I need to do some type of strength training, resistance exercise. So I've combined two things here. I've made a short-term goal to get me to the day after Christmas, because I'm going to Cancun the day after Christmas. Very excited about that. So
Same. See you there.
Yeah, so 26th of December. So that's my short-term goal. And I want to work out 3 times a week, every week between now and December the 26th. Now, that's good, but because I don't like it and I've already kind of had this goal, I haven't consistently done it. So I added some accountability, and that is the most important people in my life, which would be my children, are to ask me from time to time, hey, Dad, how's working out going? You said you're going to get 3 in this week. And I can tell you, I am not having any problem with working out with weights because those kids are asking me. I'm getting texts from Christina all the time. Both of my boys asked me this past week, and I want to be able to tell them because Dad's of his word. He's going to do that, means a great deal to me. So tapping into my own motivation has been a little bit of a trick that's helped me to execute and do what I need to do. And I'm getting so buff. I'm getting huge. It's embarrassing. I'm just kidding. But it's important. So it's those 2 things. One thing that I've done, and a lot of my clients have done this, and I think some of you had already kind of mentioned this, Susan, I think said it, is you have your clothes ready if you work out in the morning, like ready on the go, or on the ready, bam.
Yeah.
It's not like, okay, now where are my shorts and where are my tennis shoes? Everything is ready to go, making your environment as easy as possible for that to transition into what you can do. And the last thing I'm going to say, and most of you said this, is that friend or that accountability partner. I'm just in awe of one particular client that I don't have anymore, but I had her for about a year or so. And I think for 9 years, 5 days a week, 3 miles a day, with the exception of lightning storms, it doesn't matter how cold it is, how rainy it is, how yucky it is, how hot it is. She's with her buddy and they're walking 3 miles. And that's just so phenomenal what that can do to your health and well-being overall. And a lot of you have mentioned that as well, but I still wanted to emphasize it during this call. So why don't we transition? We have about 10 to 12 minutes before we fade out on this call, but let's transition to maybe that challenge that comes to mind for you. And then I'll just facilitate that, open it up to other individuals, coach you through that process. But those things that you've experienced and challenges as it relates to consistent exercise, what comes to mind for folks on this call?
Injury.
Tell me about that.
Injury. Well, I dislocated my shoulder not too long ago. And so when I do certain exercises,
Yeah.
it's just constantly popping, not just there, but like other spots that are trying to balance it or whatever. And so it's just uncomfortable and painful. And then it's real easy to say, well, I'm going to give myself a rest for a day or 2. And then it ends up being a week or 2 or 3 or 4,
Sure. So it really throws you off your base because you've got something going on and then there's an injury. And obviously you shouldn't push through that injury because you could hurt yourself more. Right.
Yeah, but it's also hard to know, like, I mean, on one hand, I know that I need to do it no matter what, or maybe not no matter what, but I need to do it. And I'm going to have to deal with some of that pain, I think.
Okay.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe I need to talk to somebody that's professional about this. I don't know. Okay. Mike, how about you? You might be the one that has the answer. I don't know.
Well, only thing I would just say is if you're having an injury, obviously you need to see a professional about that specific injury to make sure that you're okay with movement. But just remember that there's all kinds of movement, that you could be doing potentially. I know all of our healths are different and such, but just because your shoulder hurts doesn't mean you can't potentially move other parts of your body. And that I don't mean to make light of the pain that you're experiencing as it relates to your shoulder, but if you have that pain, you definitely would need to see somebody as a specialist to make sure that you can do some type of mobility.
Well, and with the shoulder, it's not just the shoulder, but I had reconstructive surgery. And so they took all the muscles out of my back at one point. And so symmetrically, I'm not symmetrical. Right. So that makes it difficult. And I wonder if there are people that are trained specifically to deal with that. You know what I mean? So that you can still physically do what you need to do, but with the idea that you might have to alter things. I
Yeah,
don't know.
no doubt. I'm sure there are professionals out there, especially with the type of surgeries that you've had that could potentially help you. Obviously, just seeking those individuals out, those experts, those people that are knowledgeable in that area to get you to where you're a place of having some type of mobility or movement, if it's possible, right? Great. Thank you, Bev, for sharing. I appreciate that. What else comes to mind as far as challenges with having consistent movement in our lives?
Lack of sleep.
Okay, tell me about that.
Well, some nights I don't sleep so good and I drag myself to the gym. I found what you said. I've been taking notes here
Mhm.
about half a workout is better than none, and I think that if I latch on to that concept, I'm bipolar and sometimes I just don't get to sleep.
Mhm.
I, tried different things to try to help me sleep, barring medication per se, or sleeping pills or anything like that. Right now, I'm trying tart cherry juice, a cup
Okay.
of that in the evening and trying that. But last night, I really had a rough night, but I still made it to the gym and still worked out. But
That's
some days
awesome.
I just don't. It's hard to drag myself out of bed, and some
Right.
days I do miss because of that. But like you said here, half a workout is better than none. So,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
I'm I'm gonna work at it.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. Thank you
The
for
lack
sharing. Anything
I
else
think,
comes to mind?
yeah, I think with the virtual environment, the work from home environment, it's so easy to just like, especially if you do work from home, just like sit at your desk all day and then go to your couch and then go to your kitchen. Well, I just moved to Boston and my apartment's like 500 square feet, so I could
Yeah.
easily like not have any movement at all. So I really make an effort to go into my office and go into my cubicle. But again, I found I was just sitting all day and like getting sleepy towards the afternoon. And so
Mhm.
what I did is I had the company get me a standing desk.
Oh,
And
wow.
so every few hours I like make it a point if I have a meeting or if I'm just doing like active work, I stand up. And so, I mean, that helps. That's not like necessarily movement, but it helps me to like feel better and like be less tired.
Yeah.
Um, so that's a challenge, but also a semi solution. And then also I already talked about like the financial piece and just like still figuring that out in my like new situation because it's really nice that I have this like beautiful free gym to go
Yeah.
to. But if I don't get as good of a workout as the workout classes and the workout classes are $30 each, like,
Wow.
just having to like take a look and like factor that in.
Yeah.
And unless someone on this call is paying me more money, I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah. Well, maybe there's somebody, I'm going to try to post this later. Maybe somebody that watches it later will be in touch with you, Helen.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How is it working out for the standing desk? How's that working out? First of all, how long have you had it?
I've had it probably a month and a half.
Okay. And how's that working for you?
It's good. I just can't stand like long term, like more than an hour. I feel like
Mhm.
I don't wear like supportive shoes. I'm in a
Yeah.
corporate environment, so I wear crappy, like not crappy, but like, just flats that like look good, but don't actually feel good.
Mhm.
It's not like I'm in like a pharmacy or a hospital or something that I can like
Right.
wear tennis shoes. But it just like helps me like get the blood flow going.
Definitely.
And when I'm on a call, I like feel less slouchy, my posture's better. There's like a whole host of things. So
That's wonderful.
yeah, I enjoy it.
Yeah, movement wise, standing is obviously so much better than sitting. Now, sitting is not bad, but we just don't want to do that all the time. So I was on a call today with somebody that I have regular routine Zoom calls with this individual, and the background was different. And he's like, well, I hurt my back, so now I'm standing at my standing desk now instead of my, at my desk that I usually sit at. And for that same reason, just because he's able to stretch his back or what have you. But that's certainly another option. Something else that I sometimes do, whether that I'm on a meeting, a virtual meeting, or I'm watching Dexter, I'm literally walking on my treadmill, just literally going 2 miles an hour, walking on the treadmill. I can still take in what they're saying or watch Dexter and what he's doing or who he's killing and enjoy it and still get movement at the same time. So that sometimes comes in handy as well. So Yeah, sometimes. I just started season 7. It's very interesting. So any other challenges as it relates to consistent movement?
Well, one thing that's sort of strange, it's like you have to be able to do whatever obstacles there are to get to the movement. For example, like I took out my rebounder after watching that video on rebounding, and it's fantastic. I love the rebounder. I used to love it anyway. But then when I tried to get on it now, because of my limited strength and mobility and everything, I brought my husband in and I couldn't even get on it. And he does not want me to do it until after I'm showing that I can actually physically get on it without him being present. So,
Yeah.
it's
So
like,
tell us what a rebounder is. Maybe some people on the call don't know.
it's the little mini trampoline. I'd seen that video with the 2 twins, or I don't know if they were twins. I think they were twins. And it was a Chef AJ thing, I think. And they were talking about the mini tramp or the rebounder being a phenomenal exercise where you can go from just, gentle walking, where you don't even realize what you're doing. You're just kind of just moving. And I used to do that way back when the TV was on as well. And I would actually kind of dance on it, or I would kind of even like do a higher step, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I haven't done that in ages. And so when I saw that video, I thought they were talking about it builds the lymphatic system. They were talking about that it builds every muscle in your body because it's a motion that's like walking, but it's giving more distance to that in terms of the muscle function or whatever.
So where are you in relation to this rebounder? I know there's a challenge because of physical limitations. Is it something that you're going to be doing down the road as you can get more prepared for it? Okay.
Yeah, that's what I want to do. That's my
Okay.
goal. I mean, but I'm not sure I've got to figure out how to get from point A of the floor, getting on the rebounder consistent. I was holding on to like a shelf and a cane.
Sure.
But it's still just, I mean, it's the rebounder is like 8 inches or 9 inches tall.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit too far,
Definitely.
it's just something I got to figure out.
Gotcha.
I think.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you for sharing. Appreciate that. All right. Any last final comments before we close her out? Okay, I'm going to close it out, but I just want to emphasize, first of all, thank you guys so much for being on the call today. Hopefully the presentation was helpful and supportive for you as we're all working to move more in our lives, myself included. As some final reminders, look for the short-term immediate wins. What does exercise give to you today? Does it help you to rest more? Does it help you to relieve stress? Does it help you to relax? Does it give you energy? Look for opportunities to move, parking at the park, the parking spot that's several away versus driving around for 10 minutes to try to find one that's 2 spots closer, right? Looking for those opportunities to move. Also looking and doing what you love to do versus what you feel like you should be doing. Again, all movement matters a great deal. And I think everybody on this call shared how walking is a really big piece of what they do to move, which is really beneficial. And the last thing is to give yourself permission to take care of yourself so you can get those valuable things out of your working out, and it can help you with the things that are most important to you in your life, whether that's being a great mom, being a great husband, being a good father, being a good employee, all those things that help you in what you're doing and blended for ultimately more health and sustainability in your life. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank
Mike.
you guys so much. Really appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon. Okay. You take care.
Thank you.
See ya.
Go Braves.
Thanks. Enjoy the game.
Go Astros.